so far? Well, it sounds like you guys are having a great time, and we thank you for joining us for our special presentation. I'm very honored to introduce our special guest who is joining us today. He is the author and illustrator of My Own World, and he's drawn for Secret Colors, Adventure Times, and The Bravest Warriors. He was a regular contributor to Mad magazine, and he created the comic strip True Story and the art project Mightiness. He's from Halifax, Nova Scotia, and now lives in Philadelphia with his wife Meredith, his son Oscar, along with Heidi the dog and Elise the cat. He illustrated all the Wings of Fire graphic novels. Please help me give a big Fanwing welcome to Mike Holmes. Thank you for joining us, Mike. How about this? Isn't this crazy energy today?
I am completely overwhelmed. This is incredible.
It's been really fun to see all the fans get together in one spot and celebrate Wings of Fire. How have you enjoyed Wings of Fire so far?
Wow, I mean, there's nothing that I haven't loved about it, honestly. When I first got the chance to do it, I was like, yes, dragons all the time, please. And it's just been the most incredible. Like, I realized, 2 books in, and I'm like, I get to, draw my own action-adventure movie, basically. But it's not mine, obviously. Like, it's Tubi's and everybody else that works on these books. And, it is better than I ever would have imagined in my life to do. Yeah.
That is a great answer.
Yeah.
I'm curious, can you tell us how you came to be the illustrator for the graphic novels? How did that happen?
Well, I handed somebody a big check, and then I tested out. I auditioned. I've been working on comics for about 20 years, and I've been doing these other series. And I have an agent, and she said, "Would you like to try out for the series Wings of Fire?" And she's like, "It is all dragons," and I'm like, I can do that. I can do that. So I auditioned. I drew all the main characters, all the 5 prophecy dragons, and everybody else. I did Scarlet, and I handed it in, just kind of going, "Please pick me." And they came back and they asked me to make a few changes, and I was like, "Absolutely, whatever you want." And I got the job.
It's quite an honor, isn't it, to be the person that brings it to life?
I mean, even then, it felt like a great honor, but just looking out right now and being a part of Fanwing Fest and seeing how everybody is so involved and so into this, and I'm like, good, I'm not the only one.
Right.
The honor doesn't begin to describe it. It's so cool. It's so
really great.
Yeah.
Mr. Mike, I have a question for you.
What's your question?
And it's also a compliment too.
Oh, okay.
One of your drawings for Whirlpool on book 2, you made Whirlpool look really handsome. How did you do that?
How did you make Whirlpool look so handsome?
Alright, so I took a picture of Timothy Chalamet right next to my I didn't mean to, because Whirlpool's not the nicest chair in the world. But
It's handsome, that's for sure. The people have spoken.
Yeah.
So, what has it been like to bring the Wings of Fire world to life?
Like I said, it's been incredible. I've never in my career had a chance to obviously Joy Yang, who created the covers and did most of the art before I came in, there was no way I was going to touch anything she had done, right? So I'm like, all right, I gotta follow this, but kind of go my own way. And just to get to do the environments, the rainforest, and kind of try to see it through not only my eyes, but the eyes of the readers, and hopefully giving them the thing that they would hope to see.
Right.
It's been a big challenge, and I take it very seriously.
Oh, it's very serious.
But
yeah.
it's incredible to be able to just kind of help build this world,
When you build the world, how much does Tubi have a say? Do you work with her closely in finding the designs and getting everything right?
Surprisingly, no, there's a lot of people, because the world was so well defined before I even came along, that when I did it, I auditioned and I tried out did these characters, we went through that phase kind of early on, where they saw what I was capable of and they understood. And I'll get notes back from Tui at the end of whenever I hand in a book. And she'll say, "Oh, I think this character maybe shouldn't look so angry here, or I think maybe this character, could be, happier." I guess I draw dragons angry all the time, but I try to. Yeah, it's funny. Tui is such an incredible collaborator, and she's just kind of let me do my thing. And if she has something to say, she will absolutely let me know. But the first note I ever got from her face to face was actually last night at dinner. I'm working on the cover for Talent to Power right now.
Oh.
And there was a. Well, the book is done. I handed in all the art, so we're just working on notes, and I'm working on the cover right now. But I had a pose for a turtle that I thought might have worked, and she's like, "Hey, wouldn't quite do that. Could you make turtle look a little different?" And I'm like, "Yes, of course, like whatever you want." And so we just sat across the table from each other last night. I was like, how's this? And she's like, "That's good." And I'm like, "This is the first time we've ever actually, done this in person."
That's really cool.
And it was really nice. But everybody who works on these books has just been so welcoming and so incredibly collaborative. And I feel like, I'm home with this series.
That is awesome. Is there a favorite cover or setting or theme that you like the most when you're creating these pieces of art?
I always like drawing the rainforest. I kind of always gravitate toward the rain wings because I also like naps.
Who does?
So I know. Although that's the stereotype. They're not
That's
just
true.
about naps.
That's true.
I love drawing the rainforest because you can kind of populate it with just all these different kinds of flora and fauna, flowers and fruits and trees, and it's just really cool to kind of get in there and feel.
Absolutely.
It's almost like, I want to feel like I'm standing in the middle of a rainforest surrounded by all this
That's
stuff.
cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Has there ever been a setting or a dragon or even a moment, like a scene that's been really challenging for you to bring to life?
There's been a couple,
Really?
and you just kind of push forward, and the trick is to always, if I was to come up with one, there's a scene at the end of, and I'm not spoiling anything, you've all read the books, more or less? Okay.
Yeah.
I figured as much with this guy. It's at the end of book 4, it's the end of book 4 where the volcano explodes, and
Wait, a volcano explodes?
yeah. Sorry, we sent you the books.
That's right. But that was challenging.
Yeah, with Mormos here, kind of watching the volcano explode behind him, and I drew that 4 or 5 times because I just had to capture that moment of he had this real. He's always been very full of himself, and he thinks he knows more than everybody else, and then suddenly he's got them trapped, and he thinks he's got the upper hand, and then nature just has its own idea of what's happening behind him, and the volcano explodes, and he's like, "Oh no." And that, to me, I needed to capture his, finally feeling like he was at the mercy of something else. And so I really wanted to get that across.
Well, I think we can all agree that you did a really excellent job at capturing that moment and capturing that energy.
Thank you.
So, with being here at Wings of Fire, I saw you walk around out there, and I know you've done events similar to this before. Can you remember a time that has been your favorite interaction with a Wings of Fire fan?
I can, and I can also say that they are here today.
Ooh. Was it today?
Well, not the interaction was not today. It was actually last month. And when there was somebody walking around in a peril costume, he came up here, and the crowd obviously went nuts. And I felt the exact same way. I was doing a signing last week in Charlottesville, or last month in Charlottesville, and they came up and introduced themselves, and I was just sitting there with my mouth open, what? It was so cool.
It's so impressive the amount of work that goes into these costumes, and everybody has their own spin on it, and the OCs and everything. It's very impressive, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is.
So as someone who grew up with a passion for art, clearly you're doing really well. Was there any fandom or show or anything that caused you to make fan art? Maybe back in early days of your career?
Oh, how much time do you have? When I was a kid, I was the kid who drew for the other kids, in 5th grade. So if you wanted Garfield, I'd do a great Garfield for you. Or Ninja Turtle. Or,
really?
Oh yeah, just Power Rangers, whatever you wanted. I do my best to get it out there. And eventually I was like, am I just getting paid for this? No offense, guys, but yeah. So there was always something about the stuff that I watched when I was a kid, and even the stuff that I watched and experienced and read and listen to now that informs what I do. There's an energy that comes off of it that has stayed with me my entire life. So whether it's reading stuff I used to really like Hellboy because of the artwork in Hellboy.
Right.
The artwork was so great. So I would do artwork of that. It is you, Mario.
Did you ever feel like dragons were going to be a big staple of your career?
Not for a second.
Wow.
Yeah, no, you absolutely. I was quite surprised when this all happened, but again, I'm very, very happy that I get to feel feelings through these characters.
Right.
I think Tui said it before, and I definitely feel like this with each book. The focus is on a different character, and with every character, I see a part of myself in these characters,
right.
Like in the main characters. So if it's somebody like Starflight, or if it's somebody like Glory, I find what it is about that character that exists in me, and I try to bring that out.
Is there a character you relate to the most?
That's a big question. But I mean, I think if we're coming down to it, I think Moonwatcher is the one that I have related to the most.
Okay. That's very interesting.
Not Whirlpool, no.
So, do you have any advice for somebody who might be in this room right now that wants to follow a similar career path to you as an illustrator?
I'd say if you have any amount of confidence in what you're doing, if you draw a picture, doesn't matter if you show it to somebody and they say it's good, if you yourself look at it and you say, that's a good drawing right there, you ride that feeling into the next drawing. And if there's something about that drawing that you're not entirely happy with, which just happens to every artist, that's okay. Most people will not see that. What you do is you take that part of the feeling and you bring it to the next drawing. And you say, okay, well, the thing that I didn't like about that last drawing, it's all right. I'm going to try and see if I can do a little better next time. But the most important thing is to enjoy the good feeling that the drawing gave you. And if you do that, you're going to want to do it every day. It's this thing that's just got to come out of you. And if you end up doing it every day, eventually you're going to realize that you were just an artist. And yeah, and once you realize that, you know, then you will have that confidence. It's almost like you've built up the skill. And then you can basically do whatever you want at that point. I really do believe that. I think like if you have the belief that your work is good and you have that confidence, then there is a big world out there. And there's a lot of room for you out there.
That is really great advice. Thank you for sharing that with us, Mike. Going back off what you just said, you talked about finding that passion and using that passion to fuel you into the next drawing. What about, have you ever, I'm sure our artists have as well, felt a creative rut? Like you didn't know exactly what you wanted to draw next, what you wanted to draw. And if you felt that, what do you do?
I mean, sometimes you give it a day. You know,
Okay.
I think there are some people who will say, just get back in there and do it, but you can wear yourself out. It might be good to just walk away for a little bit. But understand that because this is what you want to do, and because, you know, if you define yourself as an artist, you will come back to that page again. And maybe you'll have seen something, heard something, experienced something, or pulled something out of your past experience that suddenly makes that drawing click for you. But like, in the moment, maybe you feel like, but, you know, a rut, all that rut means is that up until that point, you're doing great, you know? And the rut is just, it's, you know, jump over it, you'll be fine, you know? Yeah.
That's very solid. Thank you, Mike. Now, in your books, first of all, show of hands, who has the graphic novels? A lot of hands just went up. So, for those of us who already have the graphic novels, are there any Easter eggs in any of your slides or pages that is a secret that you can share with us today?
I don't know that there's any like specific Easter eggs. I think I've made a couple of the scavengers look like friends of mine. But that's just for me to enjoy and for them to figure out. They still don't know that they're in there. But for the most part, the things that I try to do, like I grew up watching like Warner Brothers cartoons, and one of the great things about watching those cartoons is there's always like the jokes that are happening in front, and then there's the jokes that are happening in the background. And so I always try to throw something. I don't try to make a scene that maybe is dramatic. I don't try to make it comedic by having something in the background. But if there's an opportunity for like a little goof in the background, I'll throw it in there. And that is always fun. It just keeps me like, it keeps me on my toes.
That's great. So, last question, and this is a very, very difficult one. You can take as much time as you need. You clearly are very skilled at drawing dragons. What is your favorite thing to draw in general?
Wow, my favorite thing to draw in general. All right. Well, it's funny. It's kind of dragon adjacent. I love drawing monsters. I've always liked drawing monsters because monsters are like, you have to like define a monster. It's literally, it means something different for everybody here. So a monster is a very personal thing to draw. The thing that scares you, the things that worries you, the things that you've seen, you're like, oh no, I don't ever want to see that again. You can take that, put that into your monster, and you almost have control over the thing at that point. And once you start drawing one monster, you end up just drawing like a dozen of them. And they all kind of have a different thing. When I was doing Adventure Time, and they gave me like a lot of freedom to draw in that comic, I'd be like, all right, I'm drawing a lot of monsters in this thing. And they're all going to look different, they're all going to have weird things about them. It's just an ability, a way to kind of like, kind of bring out the kind of like the weirder, maybe darker, silly impulses in your art. And it's good. It's like a breath of fresh air.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, Mike, that's all the time we have. Thank you so
Thanks,
much
man.
for joining us. Let's hear it. Don't go anywhere, because in just a few moments we'll have another guest join us here on stage. Stay put, everybody. We'll see you in just a little bit.